Okay.
We're live, leader.
Okay. Thank you. So welcome to this meeting of Cabinet. My name is Jonathan Lester, leader of Herefordshire Council, and I will be chairing the meeting. In addition to those councillors present in the room, we have some other councillors joining our meeting remotely. I will now check that they can see and hear us. So we have Councillor Tony Fagan.
Yes, good afternoon, leader. I can see and hear you. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome to the meeting. And Councillor Stark.
Yes, leader. Good afternoon, everyone. I can see and hear you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So
I should also say, leader, I've been asked to stand in as the Lib Dem Party group spokesman today.
thank you very much for confirming that, and thank you very much for standing in.
Group spokesman, I should say.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. You've got two hats today, and thank you for your attendance and for representing Councillor James. So we will move swiftly on. So I will now formally open the meeting. The agenda papers and other relevant information for this meeting are available for public viewing on Herefordshire Council's website. The Council is streaming this meeting live on Herefordshire Council's YouTube channel and making a recording. To ensure that recording quality is maintained, please speak clearly as possible into the microphones. Microphones should be muted when you're not speaking. Only one microphone will be able to be used at any one time. If you have an issue with your microphone, please contact the clerk and we will allocate a new microphone. Please ensure that all devices are turned to silent. Others are permitted to film, photograph and record our public meetings, provided it does not disrupt the business of the meeting. If any members of the public attending do not wish to be filmed or photographed, please notify a member of staff. As we move through the agenda, in addition to discussions by Cabinet members, I will invite group leaders or their representatives to indicate if they wish to provide views of their political groups or questions. Where appropriate, I will ask scrutiny chairpersons to contribute. So voting for Cabinet members will be taken by a show of hands, and only Cabinet members physically present may vote. Okay, so we go to the first item on the agenda, which is apologies for absence. We've received apologies from Councillors Bramer, Stoddart, Harvey and Durkin. Yeah, and also, Councillor Claire Davis. So agenda item 2 is, and we also have apologies from Councillor James, and as has already been noted, Councillor Stark is subbing for him. Item 2 is declarations of interests. Are there any Table A, Table B, or any other interests for items on the agenda today?
Leader, I should declare my interest as my home is close-ish to the end of the Southern Relief Road. I have a dispensation to enable me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hitchener, and thank you for clarifying that matter. No other declarations of interest? No. Okay then. So moving on to agenda item 3, which is minutes of the previous meeting, which was held on the 25th of September 2025. No matters of accuracy have been notified to the monitoring officer. Cabinet members, are you content that the minutes... Oh, sorry, we're not talking about the minutes of the 2025, September 20... the 25th of September 25. It's the 20th of November 2025. Something wrong with the auto cue. Anyway, so the minutes for the 20th of November, are we all in agreement that they should be signed? Yeah, thank you very much. Agenda item 4 is to receive any questions from members of the public. Members of the public have the opportunity to submit questions to Cabinet in writing ahead of the meeting. We have received 12 public questions for this meeting, and the responses have been published as a supplement to the agenda papers. Those who have submitted a question may be given the opportunity to submit a written supplementary question or attend the meeting and ask their question live. Supplementary questions are to be no more than 1 minute in length and must include the question. I will now ask officers to confirm if any supplementary questions have been received.
Chairman, yes, we've received 7 supplementary questions, written questions, and we have 2 members of the public here who wish to ask a supplementary question in person.
Okay, so if we can go through the questions in order, please.
Just getting them up.
Yep.
So the first question that was received was from Mr. Geoffrey Hancorn from Hereford. And his question is, given the Council's public acknowledgement of severe and urgent SEND pressures, SEND is special educational needs and disability, including rising demand, escalating costs and the recent withdrawal of funding for the proposed SEND school, can Cabinet explain what assessment was made of alternative capital priorities before committing £13 million to the Ayleston school expansion, which delivers no new SEND places, and whether Cabinet is satisfied that this decision represents best value and appropriate prioritisation in the current circumstances?
Thank you very much. And if I can pass the question on to Councillor Powell for a comment, for an answer.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Mr Hancorn, both for your original question and your supplementary. Cabinet's decision to proceed with the Ayleston school expansion reflects the Council's statutory duty to secure sufficient school places and the evidence of very limited secondary school place headroom in the city, currently approximately 2.4% surplus only. The scheme is fully funded through the Department of Education's Basic Need Capital Grant, which is specifically intended to support the creation of mainstream places. Cabinet is satisfied that using the Basic Need Grant for this purpose represents appropriate prioritisation and best value against the identified mainstream demand and delivery considerations. Special educational needs pressures are being addressed in parallel through the High Needs Grant route. Ayleston School also supports pupils with additional needs in mainstream classes and hosts a specialist resource provision, which the Council expanded from 8 to 24 places over the summer using high needs capital. This demonstrates that the Council is both progressing mainstream sufficiency placements and targeted special educational needs and disabilities capacity through the relevant funding streams.
Thank you very much for that answer. That's very comprehensive and puts the position, explains the position very well. So thank you for that. Right. Okay, can we have the next supplementary question, please?
So the second supplementary question is from a Mr. Rhys Griffiths from Hereford. And his question is, the White House hub has been fenced off for nearly a year now. What does the Council see as a practical timeline to have the building replaced and fit for use again? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if I can ask Councillor Biggs to answer that question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Griffiths, for your supplementary question. Subject to conducting a building survey and addressing compliance, the Council will identify capital budget to complete the works as soon as practical, as previously stated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Biggs, for that clarification. Next supplementary question, please.
And the third supplementary question is from Mr. Hayden Osborne Brooks from Leominster. And his question is, no modelling data has been published with the papers for today's Cabinet meeting. No traffic modelling reports have been published to support the recently adopted local transport plan, which includes the ambition for a western bypass. Would the Cabinet member please advise where I may find the empirical evidence, data that supports his answers that increased bus services, particularly for students and children, would have no meaningful impact on congestion versus the construction of the new Southern Link Road?
Thank you for that question. And if I can ask Councillor Price to answer.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Osborne Brooks, for your supplementary question. The Council has nothing further to add. Whilst it is accepted in the Statement of Reasons that an increase in bus services could proportionately reduce some congestion, it would not be enough to have a meaningful impact in the volume of car travel, freight, or significantly diminish the case for the bypass. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Price. And next question, please.
Next supplementary question is from Ms Tracy Bowes from Hereford. The statement of reasons says that Phase 1 of the Western Bypass will enable additional housing provision, paragraph 1.47, an outline planning application reference P242558/0 for part of the Southern Urban Extension from Blore Homes for 540 homes, employment land, etc., is currently awaiting Section 106 agreement. To reduce the cost to Herefordshire taxpayers of the new road, which will undoubtedly help improve access to this new development, why has Herefordshire not identified any funding from this specific developer or other future developers?
And again, thank you, Councillor Price.
Yes, thank you for your question, Ms Bowes. The Council will provide you with a written response. It is quite complex about the specific developer and any other future developers that we don't yet know about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And if we could go to the next supplementary, please.
The next supplementary question is from Mr Emil Morfitt from Hereford. His question is, how much is budgeted in Phase 1 for BNG, which is Biodiversity Net Gain, and what physical surveys were conducted for this evidence-based approach? If you do not have a budget for BNG at this stage, please explain why not.
Councillor Price, again, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr Morfitt, for your supplementary question. The Council has nothing further to add to our original response. The Council has set aside budget within estimated costs to accommodate the required level of BNG needed to meet any statutory requirements. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next supplementary question, please.
The next supplementary question is from a Ms Susie Lane from Hereford, and her question is, I understand that the Council now has a robust capital project monitoring system which can show how the costs are tracking both against budget and the expected completion date. This administration previously announced that the new library to be located in the Shire Hall would be open in August 2026 and the new museum in Broad Street would be open in late 2026. Can the Cabinet member confirm that these dates will still be achieved, and if not, when?
Thank you. If I can ask Councillor Biggs to answer that question, please.
Yes, thank you, Ms Lane, for your supplementary question. The Council has nothing further to add to this. As we stated in our original response, contractors have been engaged under pre-construction service agreements, PCSAs, to develop designs and refine budgets to address any challenges that arise. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that clarification, Councillor Biggs.
And the final written supplementary question is from Mr Jim Hardy from Hereford. Under codes and regulations for local government and in line with the Nolan principles, objective and factual data on which the Council relies as evidence for decision making should be made public. As the statement of reasons for the compulsory purchase orders refers to the modelling undertaken in 2025, this data should be available to councillors and members of the public. Why has the Cabinet not made the traffic modelling publicly available if it provides robust evidence to councillors that the benefits identified over 6 years for the Southern Link Road remain valid?
Okay, and if I can ask Councillor Price to answer the question, please.
Yes, thank you again, Mr Hardy, for your question. As has been stated, the further modelling that is referred to has not yet been published. It is the intention to publish this in due course. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And what's the next question?
So we have two members of the public who are seeking to ask a supplementary question. The first in the list is Mr Jeremy Milne from Hereford.
Your response is untruthful. You did not say the full business case and, by implication, the underlying environmental studies, options appraisal, impact assessment and updated transport model for the proposed Southern Link Road, aka Bypass Phase 1, would be provided next year. On the contrary, the Cabinet member, in his responses both to mine and Ms Morawiecka's questions at Cabinet on the 23rd of January, said that this would be available later this year, specifically May, June, July time. This is what he said. It's in the minutes, which you approved. You have therefore two options: either correct your untruthful response or make good on your promise to provide the Southern Link Roads full business case and supporting studies this year by spending the remaining 13 days of it at Workenham. Which is it to be? Happy Christmas, Councillor Price.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Milne. Councillor Price?
I will just refer to the fact that as we keep moving through this project, we do meet time delays on various things, and it will be available in due course, and I will write to you with the answer to your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the answer. And Mrs. Morawiecka, if you can ask your supplementary question when you're comfortably seated, please.
Herefordshire Council has approved £40.3 million in its medium-term financial strategy for Phase 1 of the Western Bypass. That's the link between the A49 and the A465. In view of the detailed answer provided to my question, including that risk assessments are viewed monthly and that contingency allowances reflect current conditions, why won't the Cabinet member confirm that Phase 1 of the Western Relief Road can be designed, constructed and completed inside the cost envelope of £40.3 million? Will he confirm it or not?
Thank you very much for the question. Councillor Price.
I think you will. So thank you, Mrs. Morawiecka, for your question. I think we have said every time we publish anything or say anything on this subject that this is an amount of money that is put on the side whilst we build the full business case. You know that the full business case will be available next year along with all the documentation for it, and we will be able to satisfy ourselves to the full price once the contractor has reviewed the design and come forward with a price to build it. So we expect it to be built within the price that we've put aside, but if anything changes, you will probably be the first to read about it. Thank you.
Sorry, so are you confirming that the business case will be made available in 2020?
Thank you very much for your question. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right. Okay. Well, thank you to all of those members of the public for providing those questions and your supplementary questions. And thank you to Cabinet members for your answers. We will now move on to agenda item 5, which is to note whether we've received any questions from councillors, and it must be noted that there are no questions from councillors for this meeting. So, right, okay. No. Okay, and agenda item 6 is reports from scrutiny committees. We're blessed with 3 scrutiny chairs at this meeting, but no reports from scrutiny committees have been received to be discussed today. So we will move on to agenda item 7, which is the decision to award the new public contract services contract. So this item is to inform Cabinet of the outcome of the competitive procurement process carried out in accordance with the Cabinet report approved on the 28th of November 2024 and the updated public realm services model as set out in Appendix 1, and to seek Cabinet approval to award the contract for the provision of the public realm services to the successful bidder. The agenda item begins on page 11 of the agenda pack, and I would like to ask Councillor Hercombe to introduce the item and talk us through it. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. In April 2024, this administration took the decision to cancel Herefordshire Council's contract with Balfour Beatty Living Places. This set in chain a 2-year project to find and appoint a replacement contractor. The report before Cabinet today marks the conclusion of that process. And before I go any further, I would like to begin by thanking Herefordshire Council officers for their hard work, dedication and professionalism. While many officers have been involved, particular thanks are due to Ed Bradford, the Major Contracts Programme Director. It's no coincidence he's sitting next to me, for the stewardship of the procurement process since his appointment to the role earlier this year, and to all of the team who have got us to this point and will continue working on the internal changes required ahead of June 2026. It should not be lost on any of us that despite this being the Council's largest single contract, we have had a successful procurement process that has delivered both on time and under budget, and thanks are due for that. I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the work of former Councillor John Harrington, who started the review of the Balfour Beatty contract during the previous administration. While this only led to a small number of services like public rights of way and traffic regulation orders being returned to Herefordshire Council, it began a direction of travel which this administration has learnt from, reviewed, improved, and is on the cusp of implementing. It just goes to show that the second mouse really does get the cheese. There will be councillors and residents out there who are long enough in the tooth to have watched Jarvis, Amy, and now Balfour Beatty come and go. Indeed, I'm sure some in this room today may well have been involved in those decisions too, and their first reaction will probably be to ask, what's going to be different this time? Well, in short, quite a lot. Albert Einstein is often miscredited with saying it's the definition of insanity to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. And whether he said it or not, there's a lot of truth in that statement. It would have been easy for us to simply return to the marketplace to appoint another contractor and leave Herefordshire with the same highly outsourced model of working that has in recent years failed to deliver for residents. It would also have been easy to sit here espousing the virtues of that model and promise that this time it really will be different. However, the reality would have most likely been the same promising start followed by a slow and steady decline. I'm pleased to say that we have not chosen that route, and you will see from the report that we explored 5 different contractual arrangements which set out 5 different contractual arrangements which are in regular use by other highways authorities. Our selected option was a hybrid model combining options A, C and E, which you will see in the report. Under this, the services that will transfer to the Council include the asset management team, network management, locality stewards and highways inspections, design and project management, quantity surveying, customer services, including complaints, should any arise, communications, fleet management, health and safety. This means that 60 roles will transfer directly into Herefordshire Council. It will fundamentally shift control back from our public realm contractor to the Council and enable us to shape and direct activity in line with our own priorities and asset management strategies. I believe this approach represents the best outcome for Herefordshire, and I hope that colleagues will support the recommendations in this report. I should also like to say we did hold a PGC on this, and I thank every party in the Council for their support in getting to this stage. Your comments were noted, and I think they've improved the final report we have before us. While the nature of the procurement process means that we cannot know the name of the successful bidder at this stage, I look forward to welcoming them to Herefordshire in the new year and beginning the implementation phase of the new public realm contract. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hercombe, for a comprehensive and fitting introduction to the proposals before us. And I turn to Cabinet members now. Have you any questions? All right, we've got Councillor Swinglehurst first.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Hercombe. I very much welcome this proposal, and I'd like to congratulate Councillor Hercombe and his team on bringing this forward. Well done. It's really, really, I think, probably transformational, and I think we're looking forward to seeing how it rolls out as implemented. So what I'm interested in is what the environmental standards will be. What's been asked of the new contractor in terms of delivering environmental standards as part of the tender process. Thank you.
Okay. So the first stage of the procurement process, we asked each bidder to complete a common assessment standards questionnaire, which is government mandated for works contracts. And we also asked them pass and fail questions specific to the public realm services. The CAS, or Common Assessment Standard, contains environmental questions that include asking if the bidder holds a valid ISO 14001 or equivalent issued by UCAS or a mutually recognised organisation. For those of you who don't know, ISO 14001 is the international recognised standard for environmental management systems, and it provides a framework for organisations to design and implement an EMS and continually improve their environmental performance. I did have to Google it, I don't lie. Further questions also included whether the company had access to competent environmental advice and assistance, did they have a waste carrier, waste broker or waste dealer licence in England, and were they a registered professional carrier and transporter of waste in Scotland? Is Another question was, is your company legally required to report your carbon emissions under the streamlined energy and carbon reporting regulations? Did they have a carbon emissions reduction plan? And did they operate in accordance with any national or industry recognised sustainability standards, charters, pledges or good best practice guidance? As part of that procurement process, we also asked that bidders set out their draft carbon reduction and management action plan for the delivery of carbon reduction initiatives by 2030, which is the council commitment, even if the government keeps moving the goalposts, including their targets and commitments to reduce carbon emissions, deliver a circular economy and an ultra-low emission vehicle and electric vehicle fleet.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gandhi.
Thank you, Leader. For many people out there in the public arena, the public realm or Balfour Beatty means potholes and probably very little else. So how will this change our approach to filling potholes and what will improve?
Thank you, Councillor Gandhi. As part of the new approach to delivering services, roads will be inspected by Herefordshire Council staff now, so that's the difference. At the moment, the locality stewards work for Balfour Beatty and inspect the roads. Under the new contract, they work for us. They'll identify any necessary jobs for the new contractor to complete within agreed timescales as per the Highways Maintenance Plan. Works that are identified will then be reviewed internally before being ordered by Herefordshire Council staff to ensure that the right work is being requested and to try and avoid the situation where repeat visits are made to a location. To effectively chase the defect down the road. I think we've all seen them in our own wards where one pothole gets fixed and then you're chasing down the entire length of the road for the next year to come. Within the new contract documents, we've set out a clear specification for how we want potholes to physically be fixed on site by the new contractor. Works will be paid for on a pothole basis. That doesn't mean we're suddenly going to pay a lot more. What it does mean that the current cost plus fee model will go out the window and that a contractor will have to fix the pothole for the agreed price, and we'll remove the situation where you end up with 5 or 6 staff going to fix one pothole and Herefordshire Council picking up the cost of that. And hopefully that will also improve the quality. The final job will be inspected by Herefordshire Council staff, and again that will be a role and function for the highways inspectors and locality stewards.
Thank you. Councillor Powell.
Thank you. Obviously, the previous public realm contract had social value elements in it. So I'm particularly interested to know what social value elements are contained in this one. And in particular, given recent news coverage, what opportunity will there be for the apprenticeships for young people?
Thank you, Councillor Powell. This was also raised in the PGC by a number of councillors, so I did go and do my research. So we've asked for, on education and skills specifically, we've asked for 6 contracts per year to be awarded to local SME organisations which contribute to the delivery of the contract. We've asked for 450 apprentice weeks per year for local people. We asked for practical work experience and volunteering weeks for up to 8 young people in Herefordshire, aged 14 to 24, including individuals from underrepresented groups. On employment, we asked for a commitment to support up to 5 recognised care leavers per year to access full-time sustainable employment in Herefordshire. We also asked for a commitment to create up to 5 new full-time sustainable employment opportunities locally in Herefordshire. And on leadership, we asked for an annual social value commitment to ensure supply chain development for up to 4 small and medium enterprises per year through dedicated supply chain training, and to ensure the supply chain is maximising social value opportunities per contract year. I'm happy to circulate that to colleagues if they'd like a bit more of an update on that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hercombe. Circulate by all means, but that sounds extremely comprehensive. So, Councillor Price?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the changes in this contract, I have to say. So, but when you go to parish councils, you tend to get a different view on public realm contract to what you see yourself. So, how will the community commissioning improve, and will the new process be easier for parish councils to navigate?
Thank you, Councillor Price. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I've sat there in parish council meetings where the community have commissioned a sign, the quote comes back and it's thousands of pounds, and then they decide whether they actually want the sign or not. In the end, they decide they want it, and then it takes 2 years to deliver it, and they begin to regret ever ordering it in the first place. So town and parish councils under the new contract will have the chance to commission extra services if they want to, and directly through Herefordshire Council. We did move that service back in-house earlier in the year anyway, but with the contractor, the new public realm contractor will then be paid pre-agreed rates for each item of work, and that schedule will be available to parish councils, so they will know what they're committing to and the financial obligations. So it will be easier to understand the cost of extra services for every parish council.
That sounds really helpful to those parish councils to know exactly what they're asking for and what that will achieve. Excellent. Are there any more questions from Cabinet or comments? If not, I will refer to group leaders. Councillor Stark, did you have any comments that you'd like to make?
Yes, I do, Leader. I'd like to refer to paragraph 5 of the report. This is going to be one of the biggest decisions that this administration will take in its time in control of the council. As paragraph 5 rightly says, this is one of the council's highest profile contracts and represents a significant financial and operational commitment. And if you look at the documentation further, you can see that this contract potentially could span 10 years, cost up to 200 million of public funds, and therefore could effectively tie into further administrations into actually having to manage this contract. My group feels that while legally the Cabinet is entitled to take this decision today, this should have gone to full council. Because by Cabinet taking a decision today, almost 60% of members who represent other parties or are unaligned will not have the chance to have a final examination or say on the proposals before us. Now, I'm not saying the proposals will not lead to an improvement. All I'm saying is that from a democratic point of view, we should have all had the chance to look at this and to give our say and to therefore have the chance to instruct the executive through yourselves as to what might have been possible for us in terms of improvements to the management of this contract going forward. And given that I've got the privilege of being the Lib Dem spokesman today, I would like to refer you to the last page of the document and the last 2 risks identified, one of which is on performance review of the contract and one of which is on customer centricity. This is a contract that touches the lives of every resident in Hertfordshire. If this had gone to full council, my input, at least one input, would have been, why have a 5-year annual review? Why not a 1-year annual review? And second, if we were really serious about customer centricity, I would have been arguing for a customer or resident focus group to be set up who would feed directly into the performance review of this contract. If that had gone to full council, and if full council had agreed with my suggestion, then that would have become an instruction for you to take on board in terms of instructing officers in the annual running of this contract. Because it's gone to Cabinet today, I can only give you that comment by the privilege of being the Lib Dem spokesman. So our group, while not saying that this will not lead to major improvements, is very disappointed that you as Cabinet did not see, exceptionally on this occasion, the need to put it to full council. Thank you very much, Leader.
Thank you for those comments, Councillor Stark. And group leaders, Councillor Simmons, did you wish to comment or speak?
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I echo many of Louis' concerns about the process that we've undergone. I think it was a briefing rather than a PGC that we had, although I do appreciate you did fully take on board some of the comments. And as a group, we are very pleased that you've continued the work that was started by the previous administration, have developed it and have brought forward a completely different framework for delivery of the public realm contract. We completely believe as well that it will be much more responsive, that it will give us much more control and hopefully much more value for money. We are all behind you with that. So, and we do want to thank the officers as well. There were a few questions that I still haven't been able to see answers to with regards to things like the verging on wild and ensuring, although you've taken on board the contract had to have ISO 14001 in place. It's also things like that are existing policies within Herefordshire Council and with our partners that we deliver those sort of things within our maintenance contracts. So I really want to ensure that that is captured and picked up. Also, I would hope that this new contract enables us finally, from Ed Bradford's view of the art of the possible, to finally see the programme of works and that this new framework and contract will enable that level of detail to come to ward members. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that contribution, Councillor Simmons, and Councillor Hitchener representing instead of Councillor Harvey. Did you have any comments?
Yes, thank you, Leader. First of all, I think on behalf of Councillor Harrington, I'd just like to thank Councillor Hercombe for his warm comments. I'm sure that Councillor Harrington would have approved of that. Peace has not broken out. I just mentioned that, but it's a long process this has been, and it's very good to see that it has been carried on, and I think we have pretty united view, and it's such an important subject to be going forward. I do have some questions, if I may. I think we're still unsure about the appropriateness of the locality stewards ending up with small vehicles at the political group consultation. I think Mr. Bradford was saying that there's some flexibility at the moment with how the locality stewards will actually fit into the new scheme. I'm quite keen on them still continuing to do some work when they're out and about, rather than just filling in a form and sending it off. So that's a concern of my group. Another one is over enforcement. I had picked up that there might be some changes afoot with enforcement as regards riparian rights and that sort of thing, and I would hope that the new contract would perhaps have an opportunity of resetting that. My colleague here, Councillor Simmons, mentioned about the programme of work. A number of conversations I've had with Mr. Bradford were really about the fact that if you deal these days with Google, with Amazon, the customer response is so very quick, and it would be good if presumably the new contract is going to move at least some way towards that, which I believe it will do. The mechanics for transfer, I'm a little bit concerned still about that. We've had one movement. The Prow came out from BVLP to the council, and it was not done very satisfactorily. That does give us an opportunity to learn. So I presume we've got some opportunity to make sure that the transfer works a little bit more effectively. And finally, just really a general comment is that the decision to award this particular contract to one particular contractor, to my mind, it is absolutely right that is taken out of the political realm. There are 4 potential award winners. One is being selected not by the politicians, but by the officers carrying out a very thorough examination of those offers, supported by external lawyers. And I commend the council for that approach. I think that's entirely appropriate. And I look forward to the next year, and the very best of luck for the council. I think the council's reputation really hinges very much on this aspect of its work. So as a group, we look forward to attending lots of parish council meetings where the members say everything has changed. Thank you.
Thank you to group leaders for all of those comments, and it's my intention, though, Councillor Hitchener, to declare that peace has broken out. So let's try and maintain that momentum. Yeah. So anyway, peace and goodwill to all man on Christmas time. Anyway, yes. So obviously, Cabinet, you've heard those comments there, and you can reflect on those in our debate. But before we make the decision, but I just wanted to reflect on Councillor Stark's position, you know, we have to operate within the constitutional arrangements of the council. There are decisions that have to be made by full council, and then there are decisions that have to be made by the executive. This is one of those decisions that has to be made by the executive, and I echo the comments that Councillor Hitchener has made. This is not a political decision. This is a decision that puts Herefordshire Council much more in the driving seat, with a different focus on delivery and oversight in a way that I think will be very beneficial. I think we can all see the benefit of that approach, but ultimately the decision to award a contract has to be by Cabinet, led by officers, because, as we say, it's not a political decision. This is a decision about meeting all of the requirements that we've set out. I hope absolutely and agree that, you know, the proof will be in the feedback that we get from members of the public and parish councils about how well we're being catered for and how well we can manage that in this new relationship. So that will be that's the expectation. But of course, with all of these decisions, they're subject to scrutiny, they're subject to review, and all councillors will be able to play a part in that process. So, Councillor Hurcombe, there are quite a few other comments that were made by group leaders. I don't know if you want to address those issues for Cabinet.
Yeah, happily. I can happily pick up on them. The other thing I'd just like to draw out on that point from the Liberal Democrats and Louis, it's this actually went to the scrutiny committee before the procurement decision was made. So the process that we put in place and the contract design and everything else was reviewed by Connected Communities on the 15th of October. Previously, it had also been reviewed by Connected Communities on the 13th of November. So I do accept your point that everyone wants to have a stake in this, but we did set out the proposals we put forward. We did go to scrutiny, recommendations were made, and then it went to Cabinet. Cabinet approved the decision to go for the procurement process. So this is an extension of that Cabinet decision, so it's entirely in line with the Constitution and the democratic process. I like to think I'm quite open and collaborative, and you know, if anyone had any concerns or wanted to raise any points, I'd have happily taken those on board. One thing I can say in answer to councillors who are concerned how this looks and what it will feel like when the contract's different, this is phase one of the process. You know, we've done the procurement exercise, the appointment of the contractor, and sitting around the table and talking to them about how they want it to look and feel, and exploring some of the proposals they put forward in their tender bid and bring those to fruition. That will involve all parties and all councillors. That isn't a decision for any single one of us. So I'm quite happy to work with other parties to explore their views, to show what we're doing, open the book, and seek insight. You know, we've all been in the same seat. There's 53 of us. We all have to answer to parish councils, although I think there's one who only answers to the city council, so he's lucky. But yeah, so we've got to take our collective experience and we've got to work to make it work for every single councillor across the county. So I will be doing that in the new year, and I'm quite happy to sit down with you, Councillor Stark, and anyone from the Liberal Democrats to look at that. Just on the verging on the wild point, that is a Herefordshire Council policy, and the beauty of the new contract is obviously we will instruct the contractor, so it's entirely in Herefordshire Council's gift to say we're cutting them in line with the verging on the wild policy. So I expect that to happen. It will ultimately be for the Cabinet member and the officers, and the Cabinet member will be Councillor Durkin when the contract starts. So it is worth raising that, but I think Ed's taken a note now, and we will make sure we comply with that. And equally, if there's any other policies you have concerns that we want them to follow, flag them up now, because those are the kind of conversations we want to be having as soon as possible. On the performance review point, although it's a 5-year thorough review of performance, there will still be performance reviews on a regular basis with the contractor to hold them to the standards that they've set out. And if we notice a dip in performance, there's always contractual remedies available, including if the performance was absolutely dire after year one termination. Those options do not go out the window. This is about a 5-year thorough review of that contract. And on the contract length point, traditionally they've always been longer contracts. It enables the company that wins the contract to invest. If you had a very short contract, you'd find they don't want to invest in this county. We'd probably have fewer bidders. You run the risk of a failed procurement. So we've tried to strike a balance between a shorter contract than Balfour Beatty were offered with the option of an extension, but also long enough that the new provider can invest in the county and bring its skills to bear. On the vehicles point, we haven't actually purchased those yet. So we've consciously went to that briefing, PGC, or whatever you want to call it, to seek views, and we heard those views, and Ed Bradford's obviously taken those back, and we'll look at that procurement model in terms of what vehicles we do get. Enforcement, that's obviously coming in-house, so that is in our gift as of June the 1st, and we will look at how we can strengthen that. My other cabinet responsibility, or one of them, is Highways Act enforcement, and now I passionately believe we shouldn't be paying for things that other people are legally obliged to do. However, the system that we've inherited for one reason or another means that at the moment we are currently doing that. You know, our cost recovery is poor. We end up addressing issues that landowners should be addressing, or other responsible bodies should be addressing. So we will look at that in the context of the new public realm starting, and how we can improve those processes. And I'm sure that that will be something that scrutiny will want to look at as well. You know, enforcement is an important part of the council. On the customer response piece, obviously I've said we'll look at that in the new year, and I'm quite happy to have that as a cross-party conversation. I think I've picked up all the points, but if there's any I haven't, please do let me know.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, sorry, there is one more. I've just been reminded by my able assistant, Rachel Riley over here. So the big one is for councillors seeing visibility of the works over the year ahead. Now, we've never really had a multi-year settlement that enables us to do that. We've always been playing catch-up or setting an annual plan based on the best figures we've had. We've got that multi-year settlement now. We've got highways clarity from DFT as to what highways funding looks like for the next 3 years. We can put the annual plan together. We can make that visible. Councillor Durkin, if he was here, would be saying he has a plan to publish everything we're going to do on highways and resurfacing to give as much visibility as possible. So that will improve. I will leave it to the officers to decide what that looks like in terms of what they can commit to. I'm sure you'll all understand that whatever list they do publish, it moves, it changes. You know, freak weather events, flooding, whatever it may be, they can cause damage that we need to rectify, so we may need to change that list. One of the things we don't want to do is set false expectations for people, but I think as county councillors we should be able to see that, and it's up to us to then have the responsibility to expectation manage on that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hercombe, for that comprehensive assurance for Cabinet to make this very key decision, and to all group leaders for their thoughts and contributions. So the recommendation before us is in 3 parts, with Part B in 4 parts. So they're all listed in the agenda item. Councillor Hercombe is going to propose the recommendation, and can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Swinglehurst. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much, and we look forward to being appraised of events in due course. Right, we now go swiftly on to agenda item 8, which is the Hereford Western Bypass Phase 1 Land Acquisition CPO. This is to seek approval from Cabinet to make a compulsory purchase order and side roads order for the acquisition of land and rights required to construct, operate and facilitate and maintain the first phase of the Hereford Western Bypass. This item begins on page 35 of the agenda pack, and I will ask Councillor Price to introduce the item. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader, and your opening remarks were exactly the same as my first paragraph, so I won't repeat. Progress has been made to acquire land by negotiation, and we believe that this is likely to come to individual agreements with the landowners and their agents soon. Should any of these negotiations not conclude, the CPO process decision today will allow our officers to ensure land acquisition is in place to meet the delivery timescale of the project. The landowners concerned are aware that this process is a backstop only if negotiations do not conclude for acquisition of all the land required. As each individual land parcel is acquired under negotiation, it will be taken out of the CPO process. As per the report, Herefordshire Council already are owners of some of the land, and National Highways and Network Rail have interest in small parcels that are subject to ongoing agreements. The land to be acquired is the same as per the previous CPO process concluded in 2019. The compulsory purchase order confirmed in 2019 has now time expired. The Council understands the 2018 side road order remains in force at present. Should Cabinet approve the making of the CPO and the SRO, the draft statement of reasons, which is shown at Appendix 1 on page 45, will be finalised and served on all relevant parties together with the orders. I will propose that recommendations A to C and D to A to I, as laid out on pages 36 and 7, be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Price. Right, do I have any comments from Cabinet members? Any thoughts? No? It's all quite clear about what we're being asked to approve. Right, we'll go swiftly on. I'll go to Councillor Stark for any comments from the Liberal Democrats. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I mean, as was agreed at the PGC, the Lib Dem group thinks it's a prudent, precautionary set of measures to make sure that if there is any difficulty when it comes to negotiations on the land acquisition going forward, that we have the opportunity to then, shall we say, trigger further action to make sure that the land is actually acquired. So we support the recommendations today.
Thank you, Councillor Stark. Concise and to the point. Much appreciated. Go to other group leaders. Councillor Simmons.
Thank you, Leader. I'm afraid I'm going to shatter your illusion of peace breaking out, as you may well expect from us. I wasn't in the last administration, but I completely understand why they cancelled the first phase of the bypass. £20 million had been spent by you without any realistic prospect of funding from DFT for the whole route. Yet again, here we are at the sharp end of you deciding to spend money on landowner negotiations and the CPO process. Whilst I understand why you are doing that, as has been raised by the excellent questions that were posed today from the public, both originally and supplementary, we are not getting the answers that we require to be able to understand the costs involved, both in this CPO process and the wider spend on the SLR. The council's borrowing a further £30 million on top of the existing 10 million set aside. We're going to be required to pay out of council tax, every council taxpayer in Herefordshire, 1.5 million a year over, I think, the next 40 years. It's not DFT money, it is our money. We therefore should have really, really clear visibility of the likely costs and where there is risks for overspend on this. The contractor will be in place by February. They will be doing the early engagement works, of which you are then going to be running alongside potentially a CPO process. We don't understand where the risks are with the price with land negotiations. While I completely concur with Louis that it is prudent that the CPO process runs alongside that, we just have no visibility. We don't also understand the full strategic business case. That has not been provided. It was supposed to be provided when we were told, when the council agreed the budget back in February, that we would have had this by now. You know, it just seems that the tail is wagging the dog, that we are not getting the information we require at an early stage, and this is, you know, a consistent process from the cabinet member. That it doesn't seem that when we want this information, when the detail is asked, we are getting it. We would very much like to try and understand and support if we felt that there was a realistic prospect of this coming in within budget. My concern is it's not going to come within that budget, and you will be coming back to us asking us for more money. There is nothing on the full strategic business case, no clarity on the CPO process, no clarity on the BNG requirements and costs. There's no published up-to-date transport modelling. You know, as members, we should see this. If it's there, if it's been done, we should have access to it. And Cabinet should certainly be seeing this if they're taking a decision on this today. We also haven't got the, you haven't done anything in line with the transport appraisal guidance from DFT. You know, that is good practice guidance. It's how it's supposed to be done. It's done to enable you to make choices at an early stage. So you might pick up my frustration with this, and I would really like to be more supportive and collaborative with this, but I just do not ever get the information. It is stonewalled constantly, and as you've seen in response to questions today, it was not good enough. Thank you.
Councillor Hitchener.
Thank you, Leader. I echo many of the comments of Councillor Simmons. The Independents of Herefordshire are not surprised at this item being on the agenda, given the speed needed to get spades in the ground later next year. If the CPO process is required, the speed with which it is being sought does potentially come at a cost if corners are being cut and risks not properly evaluated. The Cabinet will not want the same situation to occur as happened in 2019, with the mistakes in the documentation which made it impossible for any contract to be awarded, either by the previous administration or ours, until the project for the bypass was cancelled by us. First, my group would challenge the statement in paragraph 6, which says that the proposed route removes significant numbers of vehicles from the current junction of the A465 and the A49, just south of Greyfriars Bridge. What evidence is there for this statement? As a regular user, I have noted that it is rare for vehicles travelling down the A365 to the section between Walnut Tree Avenue and the Asda roundabout to then turn right and go south on the A49. Cars and small vans wanting to access Rotherham will have already turned right at the Walnut Tree Avenue and will not go on to the Asda roundabout. So far as HGVs are concerned, they cannot use the Walnut Street Avenue, so must go to this roundabout. I've carried out my own survey at the Asda roundabout. At a busy time of the day, in in about an hour, I counted 500 vehicles going north over, going down that section of the road. So that's 500 vehicles, of which 7 were HGVs. 6 went straight across the Blackfriars Bridge, leaving 1 HGV in the space of about an hour to travel back down the A49. Hardly a significant number, as is referred to in this report. I offered to carry out this survey with a Cabinet member. They did not take me up on the offer. I now repeat that offer. Would a Cabinet member, an officer, and a representative of ACOM care to take up my offer to stand at the Asda roundabout for about an hour and count the vehicles which turn right at this junction? I concede that such an exercise will not impact this decision today, but I do ask that the report presented to Cabinet contains supportable facts. What probably matters more is that the SRR will have no impact on travel over the Blackfriars Bridge, and I note that the documents presented to you today make no such claim, nor did those presented for this scheme in 2018. I note in the risk section that the CPO and the SRO are stated to reflect their previous reform so far as practical. I consider there are fundamental differences between this application and the previous one. The previous one for the South West Transport Package was prepared after a 30-page strategic outline business case had been prepared, which was sufficiently advanced for an indicative BCR calculation to have been made. This time, there is a 2-page outline strategic business case, and I don't know why it's called an outline strategic case rather than a strategic outline business case. Maybe someone can enlighten me on that. But it's way far away from anywhere trying to put in place a BCR. Also, the South West Transport Package contains more proposals than the road. Is the timing right for this CPO, or should the Council delay until a full strategic outline business case has been prepared? Instead, it seems this administration is intent on going straight to a full business case sometime next summer, which will give limited time for scrutiny. Is that deliberate? I've only just now been referred to a 1,000-page document supporting some sort of business case from last time. We need plenty of time to assess that documentation if it comes to the same length. Is this really appropriate for such a huge commitment of local taxpayers' money? Turning to the statement of reasons, I note this might be amended prior to submission to the Secretary of State. Here are some suggestions for change. Paragraph 512 refers to the provision of a new road removing HG traffic from the busy Asda roundabout. As explained above, I do not think this is a statement supported by the facts. What evidence has the Cabinet or the public seen to justify this statement? I suggest none. So better to remove this claim from the document. Paragraphs 5.5. There is reference to a high proportion of road collisions in the area resulting in injury to pedestrians. The recent ACOM report, disclosed through an FOI request in the last few days, suggests that roads in the area are no worse than Aylstone Hill Edgar Street and Whitecross Road. Again, I ask that what evidence has the Cabinet and the public seen just to justify the statement that there is a high proportion of road collisions? Again, I suggest none, so this should be deleted. Also in paragraphs 5.5, 5.26 and 5.27, there is reference to new data that is again not available to the public or councillors and maybe not Cabinet members either. In response to a number of public questions, the Cabinet member has said, you can have the documentation at some time in the future, when we decide. Is that transparency or is it just pushing things through? I was disappointed but not surprised by the response to Mr. Hardy's question, which was that the further modelling that is referred to has not yet been published. It is to the intention to publish this in due course. I had hoped for a little bit more enlightenment from his supplemental question, but the reply from Councillor Councillor Price was exactly the same as the first question. Is that the sort of respect that members of the public should be attended to? The modelling quite clearly exists. I ask that it be published now in the interest of transparency.
Councillor Hitchener, I remind you we're talking about a compulsory purchase decision, so can you please succinctly wind up?
Yeah, Councillor Lester, I'm referring to various paragraphs within a document which is limited in its validity, in my view. It is specifically
I think you've made that.
issue.
I think you've made that point, Councillor Hitchener. So if you can wind up your speech, please, that would help matters.
So I ask for justification as to why the administration are withholding information. Finally, I note the list of documents in Appendix A, which is the documents the Council intends to rely on if there is an appeal. It only contains one document dated after 2015, which is the LTP. 10 years with no added data. Is that credible? Does this mean that none other exists? If the answer is yes, they exist, can councillors and the public have them now? And if the answer is no, they don't exist, what hard evidence is the Council relying on? It is convenient for the wording of Appendix 1 to say that the Council reserves the right to add or amend the list. I suggest that in the interest of transparency, all documents should be listed now. I have no illusions that the representations I make on behalf of the Independents for Herefordshire will make no difference. This administration is intent on providing a bypass and building 15,000 homes to the west of Hereford, which will render any improvements which are claimed from the building of the bypass a nonsense. Their SRR alone does not provide any of the benefits that members of the public so badly want and need, and for which the Independents for Herefordshire have fought for long. The relief of traffic over the Blackfriars Bridge and the New River Crossing. The building of an eastern bridge, as proposed by the previous administration, would deliver both. Finally, thank you. So my final question relates to a question asked at the political group consultation. What is the administration's approach to the governance process for approving the full business case and the contract to build the road? Will this include a full council meeting? Given the public interest and the use of local taxpayers' money, I believe it should. If you are unable to give a direct answer, how much time do you need before you can answer this important question? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, group leaders, for your comments. And I think Councillor Stark gets the prize for the most succinct points that were made. The strategic value of having a western bypass is absolutely obvious. And, you know, to suggest otherwise, I think, is really misguided. But there are obviously reasons why various councillors hold those views. But the decision that we're making here today is about the backstop of the process that has to be put in place just in case other things don't transpire in the way that we really want them to. And so I, with respect, have listened to the comments of group leaders, but this is not a scrutiny meeting. This is not a debate about the virtues of the bypass. This is about to make this key decision. There has been, there will be plenty of opportunity to raise all of those questions and receive comprehensive answers. There has been the commitment to provide and publish all of the information in due course when that is appropriate. To insinuate that there's some information that's being hidden, I think is inappropriate, and when officers have had an opportunity to process all of the information and it's deemed necessary, then it will be published and transparent. That will continue as the way the council always does, and I just want to focus our minds, Cabinet, on the decision before us, which is to go through this procedure as something that is necessitated by good practice. And so I will put that to the meeting, to the Cabinet meeting. Councillor Price, you're happy to propose the recommendations?
I am.
Okay, I will second them. So all councillors, Cabinet members in favour? Thank you very much. Right, that just remains to go on to agenda item 10, which is to close the meeting. I would like to thank all councillors for their contributions today, and officers in attendance, and for members of the public for raising their questions and asking their supplementary questions. The next cabinet meeting will be on Tuesday, the 20th of January 2026. We're nearly there, at 2:30 p.m. So that's a Tuesday, just to remind everyone. Tuesday, not a Thursday as normally. And before I now formally close the meeting, on behalf of everyone in Herefordshire Council, I would like to wish members of the public, everyone, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.